Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So you see how they're now coming out in the open and openly speaking about forming groups to push forward the efforts toward more XRP treasuries, right? It's going to be XRP treasuries. They've already begun creating those Solana treasuries. They've begun creating those, and I'm pretty sure Chainlink isn't far behind. We've already heard them speak about creating Chainlink treasuries. The reason for that is they understand, and you don't have to agree with me on this, not financial advice, but I'm going to show you something. Okay, I just want you to listen to what I'm going to reveal to you. I did a little bit of research. They understand that price is going to explode because, as I said before, and all the evidence will tell you, XRP was made to be the bank's plaything. I'm going to say it again. XRP was made to be the bank's plaything. What is its primary function? Bridge currency for who? For whom? Bridge currencies. Okay. Liquidity. For whom? Don't worry. I'm going to let Ripple tell you again. Liquidity for whom? Loosening up Nostro Vostro for whom? It tells you right there. So if it's to serve its purpose, folks, if XRP is to do what it was designed to do, and now they're putting immense pressure on Swift, immense pressure, to the point where Swift is speaking in ways folks, I've been here for a few years. They've never spoken like they're speaking now. They're waving the white flag by being willing to work with multiple bank coin companies. You see the video the other day? It's just the beginning. They'll work with a Chainlink. Doesn't step on the toes of Ethereum. Ethereum doesn't step on the toes. And not just Ethereum outright, the Linea system made by Consensus. If people understand Consensus, which we used to cover because they were competition 4 years ago. They had a little bit of problems here and there. Consensus, yes, they did. They had a couple of projects that went a little bit awry. I'm pretty sure they ironed that out by now. But in no way, shape, or form are they any competition now. But they don't step on the toes of XRP. Everything flows together. Hence why Swift is now they want to be this connector piece. We're going to pull everything together when really what they're saying is we can't beat them, so we're going to join them. But once again, boiling everything down to its essence, who loosens up that capital? How much capital is locked up? They never fixed that problem. How much capital is locked up? Tell me. I hope I get this number right, but we're going to get to the information in a moment. I believe it's somewhere like $27 trillion. Folks, let me say that again. $27 trillion. We've come this far. We've come this far. Ripple said themselves they're working with a multitude of central banks. They've shown for a fact they're working with a ton of commercial banks, some of the biggest. We went over the list the other day. Did you see that video? By the way, if you like this type of content, take those powerful hands of yours like this. I messed up. Take those powerful hands like this and hit that like button. Bank of America, etc., HSBC, NatWest, we can go on and on. $27 trillion to a problem that has not been solved yet. All the other ones, what's the problem with another thing? The fees. Why will the XRPL be the preferred chain? The fees are so low. Even with the improvements that Ethereum has made, they still from time to time have high fees. They don't want fees at all. Like they have to be almost non-existent. I know that's not going to happen, but they want it to be much lower than where it was before. With all of these other systems, Fedwire and these other alternatives have they have a bunch of different little, I won't say little because some of them are hefty. For companies, I would say they're little, but over time it adds up. They have a bunch of different fees. Look into it yourself. Anyone can Google these things. XRPL, you almost have no fees unless the legacy system layer, because they will layer things on top of the XRPL and systems, because a lot of them I do anticipate will use the XRPL outright. I know it. Ripple knows it. we've read from experts. They also know it. They're not all going to go through Ripple. Ripple and SBI and Volante, all these companies, I hope they do well. They seem like they've been doing their jobs. But one can use the XRPL directly. I think a lot of them are going to do that. So that's why, once again, don't worry, we're going to get to that information. They're doing things like this, coming together. This is what it says. XRP ecosystem set for explosive growth with launch of X Club initiative. Global corporations are accelerating their efforts to incorporate digital assets into mainstream operations. Sure. With a fresh initiative now targeting the widespread use of XRP in corporate treasury management and payment systems. Why? This, no doubt they'll use it in this way, but it's also a smokescreen. They want that value. XRP, like many other bank coins. Listen, folks, you don't have to agree with me. I'm not here to convince you of anything at all whatsoever. I just speak for myself, and I speak powerfully because I know what I'm seeing, and I believe what I'm seeing. We've been right along the way, have we not? We made it this far. Okay, when I say we, I mean I'm just inclusive like that. Let's go here. Okay, I want to get this to you. I could pull a bunch of different quotes, but I just want you to use this one here. I think it really rams it home. This is from Brad Garlinghouse in 2017. Okay? Quote, we use this digital asset called XRP to settle liquidity needs between banks. XRP is the bank's plaything, folks. You think the price is going? You think the price is going to stay down to $3, $2? Huh? There's no way. You believe it's going to stay below $8 to $10? To each his own. Respectfully. I have to respectfully disagree. No way. If this goes the way it's supposed to go, of course, there's no guarantees. I'm not saying that. I'm not one of those people. I'm not an absolutist. But if this goes the way that it seems to be going, based on all the actual research, it should skyrocket past $8 to $10 at some point. There's no way around it. Once again, I didn't even read the entire quote yet. Let's go. XRP to settle liquidity needs between banks. So today, there's $27 trillion parked at different banks around the world. This was at that time. Let's see. Let's do a Google search. Let's do a Google search for today. How much value in Vostro is locked up in the banking system in 2025, and hopefully it just gives us like an estimate, because sometimes Google is a little bit wonky. Maybe it's the way I phrase things. Let's hit enter. Let's see what happens. Come on, Google, please give me a number. Okay, so it said 27 trillion back then. Now, wait. Why doesn't it just give me a bunch of different? I would like different sources. So that was 2017. In 2019, it also said 27 trillion. But today it says, as of 2025, an estimated $10 trillion is locked up in Vostro accounts. They're saying 10 trillion. How that number came down, I don't know. Or maybe it's just because it's coming from different sources. Sometimes you get those chasms. We've seen it before. It's just like, for example, the banks that are at risk. You'll have one company that's saying 649 banks are at risk in the U.S. of collapse, right? Then you'll have another company we've seen where they say just 100. Remember that, right? And then we had another company that was saying like 435 banks were at risk. So different companies are going to have their different estimates. That makes sense. So my apologies, folks. I lack eloquence today. So 10 trillion is what they're saying now. Either way, even 10, like just take 10 trillion. If XRP, Ripple, or whoever, let's say Swift uses XRP directly without Ripple, which is not going to happen. I don't see that happening whatsoever. They're going to work with Ripple. But if they use XRP to move a portion of these trillions, what does it do to that price? Let's go back now. Let's go back here. Now that we have some numbers, whether you work with 27 trillion or you work with the 10 trillion. Let's keep going. So 27 trillion parked at different banks around the world. Updated, it will be going by the new number, 10 trillion. So they can make payments between each other. The XRP is made for the banks. Once again, so they can make payments between each other. Some of you out there don't understand. You're like, Mick, we know that. No, not everyone knows that. There's a lot of people like XRP is not made for the banks. I've heard this over and over and over and over again. You might not hear. I hear it. Yes, it is made for the banks. It can't get around. It's a bank coin for a reason. Ripple's telling you. It's every function. Hence why people believe if it's successful, it has been successful so far, that number has to skyrocket. Let's keep going. It says, so then I did a search about the effect of the speed, the usage of XRP on the price. The speed, how many times XRP can be used, right? Then you're combining that idea, at least this is what I'm doing, with the volume, consistency of the volume. It's just consistently moving large amounts if we're going to be working with a ton of banks, which is what it appears is going to happen. I don't see anywhere. And not only banks now, large asset managers as well. And how that affects the price. It says here, for a utility asset like XRP, the price is not just based on market cap, but on how quickly the tokens are used and reused. This is the indispensable concept of velocity. It says if XRP were used only a few times a day to settle payments, the required liquidity pool would have to be immense, driving the price up dramatically. However, since the XRP ledger settles transactions 3 to 5 seconds, the same XRP can be used rapidly. Analysts who model this scenario use different velocity assumptions, but even with conservative numbers, the projections push the price into double and triple digits. Now, this is more leaning towards, this spans, if we take a few banks we're working with, a little bit of those trillions, right? I'm oversimplifying this, but I need to for myself today because I'm exhausted, folks. But I'm going to work anyway. I'm going to get it done anyway. That's just for me. It's what I want to do, okay? So this spans XRP working with the lesser end of trillions and then into it working with the higher end of trillions. That makes sense? So lower velocity, right? The price projection, the slower the reuse, the larger the required on-ledger liquidity, increasing the intrinsic value of each token. Price projections anywhere between $18 to $24 per XRP. Like I said, that's on the lower end of the trillions. We get a ton of banks, okay? Higher velocity. The high speed reuse means less XRP is needed to service the volume, but the utility is still immense. So for that, somewhere around there, 480 times, 480x per day, $10 to $12, and that's 480x per XRP being used that many different times. That's what I'm assuming this breakdown is here. $10 to $12 per XRP. All right. Then here's the most bullish numbers. Listen, like I said, this is not about you believing this or you believe what you want. Do your own research. Trust yourself. That's what I'm about. I want people to trust themselves. It's not about me telling you something. You do your own research. Many of you are great researchers. I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. I like to say that before I say these numbers. These numbers, I'm just sharing with you what I have uncovered. Things that I'm researching. But it's not meant to sway you this way or that. Make your own decisions and be comfortable with the decisions you make. All right. So now, most bullish. It says here, some extreme models. Okay. Extreme models. Often using different assumptions about the annual volume and required liquidity, push the theoretical price well into the hundreds. So here they have it at $357 plus per XRP. That's, of course, on the higher end of moving those trillions consistently. But if we, let's say something is announced where Ripple is working with Swift, that becomes much more real. Right now, we're still working with concepts, brainstorming, but all of this is built out of the information that we have at hand currently. Right? This is not just coming out of the sky. No, they're working with multitude of financial institutions, central banks. They're rubbing shoulders with large asset managers. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks because, of course, BlackRock is active. BlackRock is the biggest. I told people this also to keep this relationship in mind. BlackRock and we'll see what happens. BlackRock and Vanguard are attached. You got Van Eck is in there. We'll see what happens in the future with those, right? With those. I think it's going to be very positive for XRP. It says, in short, if XRP were to become the preeminent bridge currency for 14% of global interbank transfers. This is why I always tell people my interests are the interbank payments. The bank money, folks, is powerful, but most people are not looking at the bank money, even though we're so close and we always hear about them working with banks. So if it just moved 14%, that's not that high. That's not that wild of an estimation. 14%. The required price is projected to be in the double-digit range. What do you think? What do you think, folks? Come on now. And they're positioned globally in a way that only a few are. Swift definitely is not positioned that way. They're trying to get away from Swift, the East. There's fragmentation there. They've already been looking into alternative systems where you have bank coins like XRP and XRPL positioned in Hong Kong, positioned in the East as well as the West, positioned in Latin America, positioned in the MENA region. They have one of the few platforms that can pull everything together for the entirety of the global financial system at a low cost, at lightning speeds. That's a heck of an advantage that I think is taken for granted at this particular time. We've heard it so much, we just become used to it. It's like riding in a car. When you first get that brand new car, you're so in love with it. Give it 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, it's just a car. The veneer of it has worn away. That newness feeling has gone away. So I think and so you start to take it for granted how special that thing is what I'm saying. I think that's happening a lot with a lot of these aspects of XRP and the other bank coins. But it's not lost on me. All right, so now we covered that. I hope I gave you enough. I felt like I covered everything as well as I could. Okay, as well as I could. I did my best. Every time I appear before you, I try my absolute best. All right, so now let's go here. A little bit of Bitcoin news. This article is titled, BlackRock doubles down on Bitcoin with new income-focused ETF. They would not do this if Bitcoin wasn't super bullish. Long-term, designed to leverage Bitcoin's volatility, BlackRock's covered call fund could disrupt the crypto ETF market. BlackRock is extending its push into Bitcoin with a new fund designed to turn the asset's volatility into investor yield. On September 25th, Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Balchunas revealed that the firm had filed for a product called the iShares Bitcoin Premium ETF, a covered call fund structured under the 33 Act. Unlike a traditional spot ETF that passively tracks Bitcoin's price, the new product would layer an income strategy on top of BTC exposure. It plans to hold Bitcoin or related instruments while writing covered calls against those holding to earn premiums. My apologies. I'm like reading this and my mind went somewhere else. You ever do that? You're thinking about 2-3 things at the same time. You know what's wild about that? Sometimes I'm thinking about 4 to 5 things simultaneously. It's like I can visualize them. And what's wild about that is I've had somebody literally tell me that's impossible to do. And that's mind-blowing to me. You're going to tell me how I've been existing my entire life is impossible. Like, what? I'm simply explaining how I think, how I exist consciously. But anyway, sometimes that happens, and then it'll cause me to have a little bit of pausing in my reading, because I'm like perceiving this other thing while I'm conveying what's on the screen. That makes sense? Anyway, let's continue on here. It says, those premiums would then be distributed to investors as income, allowing the fund to capture value from Bitcoin's frequent price swings rather than simply mirror them. Meanwhile, Balchunas noted that this move could unsettle rival issuers already building income-based Bitcoin products, given BlackRock's dominant position in the spot ETF market. The firm's flagship iShares Bitcoin Trust has grown into the largest crypto ETF globally, managing tens of billions in assets since its launch last year. Bitcoin is super, super duper bullish, folks. There's a lot more coming. I don't think a lot of people are going to expect it. I want to emphasize that they don't want to believe. There's this fear of victory, fear of winning, fear of the heights. What if it doesn't get there? I'm going to be disappointed. Many people I've come across, they have that in them. I've seen it everywhere, whether it's crypto. I've seen it, definitely saw it in the stock market for sure. In athletics, I've seen it. I saw it in the entertainment industry as well. And it keeps people, I believe, from reaching that top level. You have to be courageous in life, no matter what you're going for. You have to believe, even if the entirety of the world tells you that you don't see what you're seeing. You're not what you know yourself to be. You yourself must go forward with solid belief in where you stand and what you think, what you believe, if you want to reach the highest level. If you want to obtain victory. There is no one who can do it for you. There is no external individual who should sway you in that. So you need some courageousness to be that type of winner, in my humble opinion. This is my experience, folks. And I think I'm seeing a lot of that here with Bitcoin. People they're afraid. And no, I'm not negating the aspect of people who are like, well, maybe they don't want to lose value if they get sold on. No, I'm not negating that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just possibility. I'm not talking about investing in Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin. I'm not talking about that. Put that to the side. We're simply dealing with conceptualizations. People are afraid to even conceptualize Bitcoin going to these higher prices, at least from my experiences in real life. I'm not talking about on the internet, okay? Even though... Well, I don't have this. Let me negate, though. Even when evidence is presented, nations want Bitcoin, multiple companies trying to create Bitcoin treasuries, large asset managers into Bitcoin, the banks are coming for Bitcoin. All of these, and that's just a few strong, bullish catalysts. States also want Bitcoin. There's so many bullish things happening for Bitcoin. There's no way it stays where it is now. Short term I'm not here for short term. I'm not super long term with Bitcoin either, like I am with bank coins. Not at all. I don't want to paint that picture. I'm not at all. But I am long term in a way. I'm definitely not short term with Bitcoin. Definitely not. 115K, 120K, 200K Bitcoin, I believe is going much higher. I say that with all humility, no arrogance within me whatsoever. I'm only saying what I'm seeing based on research. What I'm perceiving based on research. That's all. Bitcoin has the potentiality. I like that. No, not potential. I like potentiality. It has the potentiality to go north of 200K. If it ever gets the support of the central banks in the way that gold does, you know how a lot of people are trying to push this idea off of Bitcoin being a store of value akin to gold, right? Although they know that it's not like gold. Come on now, stop. Gold has a longevity and a protective ability that's just unparalleled. Hence why gold continues to get more bullish. Even when they say the sky is falling for gold, it becomes more bullish. Now you have a lot of expert companies that are very respected saying they see gold going to $5,000. And that would not be wild if in the future at some point, who knows how long it would take, although gold has moved meteorically as of recent, I don't think that's wild to say. To be quite honest, you want to be quite honest, I don't. Given the circumstances, if you didn't see that members only video that I put out, watch that members only video. Check that members only video out. I thought it was very informative in my humble opinion. My humble opinion. But if Bitcoin gets that type of support, expect something miraculous. Only a few are going to benefit from it at that point, though. At that point, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people left. Not in the bank coins, not in Bitcoin. And the companies will be left to have their fill, to have their way. It'll be their game. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.